Joining me to discuss, former U.S. Ambassador to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, Baer. Dan, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Given the immediate violations of the ceasefire, can such short-term truces ever be meaningful in this war? Do they give either side any real advantage on the battlefield?
Well, there were two problems with this. One was that it was so short, which obviously any ceasefire should be welcomed in terms of sparing human lives, but it was short and it was also a surprise. It wasn't, these things take planning. Both sides need to send messages to their troops to help them execute them. And so Putin's springing this on Zelensky. Zelensky had no choice but to go along because he needs to show that he's constructive, but he also was at great risk of being played. And I see this as mainly a cynical ploy by Putin to try to take back the narrative.
And Russia announced the ceasefire after the Trump administration said it would move on if there was no progress towards a truce between these two countries. Let's take a quick listen.
The president has spent 87 days at the highest level of his government repeatedly taking efforts to bring this war to an end. We are now reaching a point where we need to decide and determine whether this is even possible or not.
If for some reason one of the two parties makes it very difficult, we're just going to say you're foolish, you're fools, you're horrible people, and we're going to just take a pass. But hopefully we won't have to do that. Now, Marco is right in saying it. We want to see it end.
Ukraine says amid the ceasefire, it has been quieter on the front lines, which proves Russia is the true cause of the war, because as soon as Putin scaled back, there was less killing. So, Dan, what is the likelihood Trump will view it that way as well?
We'll see how Trump views it. I mean, obviously, he's learned a hard lesson, which is that after claiming that he could solve this in 24 hours, he's 86 days more than that, and it isn't solved. And the challenge is that making a ceasefire, finding peace is actually really difficult. And these kinds of deals take professionalism and discipline and a commitment to stick it out for the long run. You know, the threat to walk away from this, America the quitter is not America first, is not America strong. When we walk away from the problems in the world, they end up coming to bother us in other ways and affect our security and prosperity. So I hope the Trump administration will not walk away from the hard work of peace. I do think that they need to do more to put more leverage against Vladimir Putin to get him to be incentivized to make a real deal. But we will see in the coming week how President Trump responds to whatever kind of small pause we got out of this hasty ceasefire.
Along the campaign trail, Dan, you and I remember this vividly. Trump claimed several times he could end the war as soon as he comes back to office. Here's a little bit of what he said.
Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, I will have the disastrous war between Russia and Ukraine settled. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after I win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, we're going to get that war ended. I'm going to try, and I think I can, get it ended as president-elect. In other words, before I even take over the White House.
This just shows, he said it numerous times on the campaign trail. Dan, what is your reaction to him now saying, listen, I was just being sarcastic, and adding to that, listen, if there's no progression, I'm moving on?
You know, the claim that he was being sarcastic before kind of reminds me of the claim that there was always a plan to pause the tariffs. There's improvisation going on. Improvisation can be okay in some spheres of life, but these kinds of hard work take really disciplined approaches. And this is different from a real estate deal. You can't just walk away from it and find another one. And it takes a lot of hard work to get the two parties to see where the possibilities of overlap are. And he's going to need to be committed for the long run. And he's going to need to think carefully about how he can build up more incentives and more disincentives for Vladimir Putin in order to get the Russians to actually come to the table looking for some sort of deal. Right now, Russia is playing for time because they think they have the upper hand. And so by playing for time, they're also playing President Trump, and he needs to get back at an even keel or with some leverage in facing Vladimir Putin.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.